everybody, welcome back to my channel. As always, I am Dr. Laurel Henderson. I'm a triple specialist in oral facial pain, oral medicine, and oral and maxillofacial pathology, and I'm your Miss California United States 2019. This week I have a very special and exciting topic to share with you, and it's kind of like my reason, my why, my who I am. I want to talk to you about why pageantry has made me a better doctor. Obviously, there's very few people who can talk about this. I think there's only 2 or 3 other women who are postgraduate, postdoctoral, who are competing in pageants right now. But I wanted to share a little bit about my perspective about how I become the ultimate, Dr. Princess version of myself and why I did that. So, pageantry was something that was a fun little addition to my resume when I was trying to become an orthodontist. Years and years and years ago, I wanted to be an orthodontist super badly because I thought I was a sassy teenage girl and I had raging OCD and it was the perfect career choice for me. But flash forward to being in dental school, I was really sick and I actually had this undiagnosed medical condition that I really didn't feel comfortable talking about. It was really kind of embarrassing for me. It took a lot of doctors to figure out what was wrong with me, but I ended up having surgery and being off on bed rest for a month, and I got better. And that completely changed my purpose in my life. I saw patients differently. I started believing them. I started understanding that their pain was real because I had lived that pain. And this was happening at the same time that I started competing in pageants. So this combination of this believing women, this working with women who are very beautiful in pageantry and finding out what my platform was going to be. I was also working with women who are survivors of sexual violence, me teaching fitness classes. And although I had a really cool sounding platform because of that, I didn't really connect the pieces until I did the soul searching through pageantry, trying to make myself a better winner. I realized that a lot of the experiences that I had gone through actually were consistent with that of those women who I was working with. That I had this pain inside of me of being a survivor, a multiple survivor of sexual violence. And I needed to address that and I needed to share that with the world. And because I saw that pain inside myself, I saw it in other people more. And I saw it in my patients more. And the pain patients I was seeing in my oral facial pain and oral medicine residency, I had a unique connection to them because I had allowed myself to live my truth through pageantry. By understanding my story and by deciding to live my story, I was then able to see that pain in other people, and I was able to diagnose them faster. And I was able to understand and perceive the subtleties of those unspoken messages that they were sending. That, I don't like it when I see a male doctor because I don't trust men right now. That's not something that you say typically in polite conversation, but that's sometimes what someone's truth is. And because I've gone through that myself, I totally understand now that there's survivors everywhere, right? So I've actually altered my practice as a dentist and as a specialist. Now I do very specific things for my patients. I always face them, not directly, but as I'm having a conversation with them so that they know that I'm actually listening to them. I don't stand behind them. I don't ever make anybody feel like they have somebody looking over their shoulder, creeping on them, anything like that. Before I touch them in the very intimate areas of their head and neck, I show them on their hand and I tell them this is the amount of pressure I'm going to use. The hand is typically not a painful area for people, so it's a nice intro. It shows that you have a caring touch and a very perceptive personality to you, that you understand that sometimes you have to make that initial connection before you go to a higher vulnerability area. I also make sure that I try to speak things through to my patients. I say, next I'm going to be touching your shoulders, I'm going to be checking the trapezius muscles, or I'm going to be checking the sternocleidomastoid, which is going to go where your collarbone is. I like to address that so just in case someone is a survivor, they're ready for it. They understand that my intentions are for good purposes, that I'm trying to find if there's any sort of pathoses or any sort of problems in the areas that I'm checking. I think that that's really, again, a door that was only open because I got in contact with myself through pageantry. One of the other things that I think is really, really important for people to remember is that pageantry helps prepare us for every aspect of our life. So one of the hardest things about pageantry is that people assume that as soon as you get a title, you suddenly have wardrobe and hair and makeup and you have appearances every day and it's all set up for you. And that's just going to be your life now. Now you're suddenly Miss California, everything's ready to go for you. When in reality, actually what pageantry is a platform to then go out and find opportunities. It gives you the ability to network with people in a way that you weren't able to beforehand. And I think that's really useful just in general in business, in medicine. It's realizing that you create your own opportunities. You find your own success and you are responsible for your own outcomes. So one of the great opportunities that I like to challenge other people to enjoy, but I personally enjoy, is I like to go to a lot of walks for charity or for medical purposes. So I'll go to the American Heart Association, the American Diabetes Association. I just went for the Lupus Research Alliance. I'm doing Smile Train in a couple of weeks. I try to go to these medical causes not only because I like to champion them as somebody who sees these patients and treats these patients, but I also have a good reason then to study up on the disease. Just in case, I'm going to be put on stage or in a video, that happens. I mean, I've been certainly used for my crown. You want to be able to speak knowledgeably. So that gives me an opportunity to say, okay, what are the kinds of lupus out there and who does it primarily affect and what are the health risks that we should know about? That only helps me become a better doctor, right? I know you guys know this, but I want to be a oral health correspondent someday. So having these little pageantry opportunities to spend my free time, my enjoyment time, actually kind of learning and delving deep into my profession, that's rare, that's cool, that's awesome. And I don't think that we talk about that much, that this is actually enriching. Of course, getting to know people and interacting with people who are unlike ourselves is also a benefit of going to these events. Oftentimes I'll go and I'll just start chatting with people, trying to hear their stories, trying to understand them a little bit better. In medicine, we're frequently surrounded by people who are very much like ourselves, besides our patients. So the people who we work with, the people that we learn from, the people who work for us, they're very much similar to us. And the more that you're out walking around with people who are of a different story from you, that makes you more open to other stories that your patients might come in with, right? One of the greatest tragedies that's happening in medicine right now is not believing patients when they're in pain, specifically women of color, women who are of a higher BMI. We have a tendency to distrust them and not believe their pain. And I think because now I've spent so much time at these events and I've gotten to know these people, I know that we're only a couple of degrees of separation away from each other. So again, I wouldn't have had this opportunity if I wasn't trying to create my own opportunities in pageantry. I guess the final little good thing that pageantry has given me for becoming a doctor is the competitive outlets. For those of you who are in dental school or medical school, I think you know the term gunner, right? Like pew pew pew. Gunners, if you're not familiar, are people who are their hand just shoots up like a shotgun in the air. They know the answer. I've been that person for sure. That Hermione Granger personality where I got this and I want you to know I got this. Because it's fun to know things. It's fun to be knowledgeable. Certainly as somebody who's been in school as much as I am, obviously I like to know stuff. But unfortunately, the term gunner is really associated with people who are competitive and academic to a point where they lose their social connections, where they're actually destroying their relationships with other people just to get ahead and just to be the best. And that's not something that we want to encourage. And certainly with me, I've always been an athlete. I've always had a sport. So when I came into dental school, not having that competitive outlet was very difficult for me. But when I started pageantry, I was actually able to kind of sit back and relax into my own personality and do well and thrive outside. Using pageantry as my competitive outlet outside was really satisfying, and I think it helped me socially and just helped me in all ways in my life. This is kind of my champion call to all of you exciting, independent, dynamic women out there who are in healthcare, who are in law school or B school or engineering school, architect school, wherever you are. You're welcome in pageantry. You're welcome in our line of business. There's moguls being built here, and there's people who have incredible stories like mine. And if you have never met anybody like me before who does dentistry and pageantry, well, thanks for watching, and hopefully I've changed a couple of minds. I'm going to be doing more videos. I obviously took a little while to get this one up because I was creating my own little studio setting for you. But I'd love to know what your ideas for videos are in the future. And hopefully I'll be able to answer some of your questions and your comments down below. I'll see y'all next week. Take care.